Hi guys, and welcome to Freckle Finance. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that most people at one point have to think about, and that's whether you should combine your finances with your spouse or keep them separate. So this is a question I see a lot on online investment question sites, or where people ask questions about what they should do with their finances, how they should handle it. And there really isn't one way to handle this. Now there are three general ways to handle this, and it's really up to the couple to decide. And sometimes it depends on you and your partner's spending habits or saving habits that will affect which one you decide to use. So the first type is to keep your money completely separate. You don't have any joint account or anything. And this is a strategy that a lot of people use, and to some people's surprise, a lot of married couples still use this. So not all married couples combine their finances. The benefit to this is you have full control over your finances. You don't have your partner telling you that you can't spend money on a pair of shoes because this is your money. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not paying any of the bills. There is a few different ways that people handle paying the bills when it comes to keeping your finances completely separate. So one of the disadvantages of this, and I don't really think it's that big of one, is that it can be a little confusing on who pays what bills, how that all works. Maybe you're paying this bill and that bill and you're paying him back for that or her back for that or whatever. So it can get a little confusing, but if you want to keep your finances completely separate, then that's one of the parts of it. So there are two general ways that people handle paying the bills when they keep their finances completely separate. One way, and this is the way that we actually do it, is he pays all of the bills and I pay him back for this. However, in order to do this, you have to be living well below your means, because if he was paying all the bills and he couldn't afford to pay all the bills every month, this just doesn't work. So we save a lot, so we live well below our means, and he pays it all and I pay my portion back to him every month. The other way to do this would be that one of you pays the rent and the other one pays the food and some other bills, and hopefully it comes out to about your fair share. The second way that couples will handle money is sometimes they will have a third account. So they both have their separate accounts and they have a third account which all the bills come out of. Now, sometimes these people will also have combined savings accounts and sometimes they won't. But generally, all of the main bills, they will get their own paychecks into their own accounts and they transfer their share of the income. Whether or not you have a shared or a combined savings account is different. Like, everyone will do differently with that too. Just because they combine their bills does not mean they combine their savings accounts. But basically, you guys will each be paid in your individual accounts and you will deposit your share of the expenses into the third account where all the money will be deducted from. And that way you don't have to worry about coming out of your personal savings account, or just, I guess for some people it's easier for them to be able to budget that way. I should state the previous two ways of handling your money in a relationship that I just mentioned does not mean you should just do whatever you want with your own money just because it's fully or partially separated. You should be talking to your spouse and agreeing upon how you handle your finances. But some people feel more comfortable being able to fully control their finances, whether or not they would handle it the same if their money was combined or not. As well, I don't really recommend anyone to combine their finances fully until they're married, as within a marriage, it doesn't really matter. Unless there is a prenup, you will be splitting the money 50-50. But before that point, that's not how it's going to work. You want to ensure that if you're not married, you have some protection to your own money that you've saved. The third way to handle the money, and the way that most people know, and the very traditional way, is to have one account. You both deposit all your money into it. That's where all your spending comes out of. That's where you transfer your savings out of. You usually save in one account, or you can have several savings accounts, but they're combined and it's just completely combined finances. And there are still definitely people who do this today. So for those who think that nobody does this anymore, there are people who definitely do this, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like I said, you should probably wait until you're married in order to fully combine your finances. So as I said previously, the bills are all under his name. He pays all the bills and I pay him back. However, that doesn't mean that we split our bills 50-50. And this also depends on how you want to look at it. Not all couples will split according to income like we do. Some people will say 50-50. Doesn't matter that I make a lot more money than you or that you make a lot less money than me, but that you are going to pay 50% of the bills. Now, in my opinion, that's not very fair. You guys are not roommates, you are together, and one person should not have so much more access to money than another person simply because they make less money, because most of the time it's not someone's fault that they make less money. However, if you guys are both very close in how much you make, then you should be splitting the bills 50-50. There shouldn't be you guys are making the same amount and for some reason one of you is paying all of it and the other one is spending all of it. Now I know this happens. That's obviously would be something you have to figure out in your relationship, because nobody should be paying all the bills when they're making the equivalent amount of money of the other person, and nobody should be spending all the money either. As an example of the pay according to your income rule, let's say that you make $4,000 and your partner makes $2,000. And this is in after-tax dollars, so don't compare to your pre-tax dollars, because this is really what you actually have every month to spend. And so if that's the case, then your partner actually only makes 33% of the household income, which means that to be fair, they should only be paying 33% of the total bills. So if your combined total bills is $3,000, now I say combined because some people still want to separate their spending money so that they just have their bills that they both spend together, whether that includes date night and all that stuff, and they combine it. That means that your partner would pay $1,000 out of the $3,000 a month there is, if that's how much money your combined expenses are a month. As well as another way that some people handle their finances, and this is usually the one where they have 3 accounts, is that they will actually deposit all of their incomes into the one account and they will deposit out their spending cash. So they will usually give each other the same amount of spending money each month. Now, for us, with our geared towards our income, it means one of us actually has more spending money than the other, but really we're not big spenders and we usually save most of our extra money anyway. So this for us has not really been a problem, but oftentimes when the person makes a lot less money and they're getting a lot less spending money, even though they're paying a lot less bills, people will sometimes get remorseful over it and it can cause problems in the relationship. So you really need to evaluate with you and your partner which one really works for you. Both of these ways, however, leave you with the ability to spend your spending money kind of on what you want. Now, that doesn't mean that any money that doesn't go to bills should be allotted to strictly your spending money, because you should be saving. But any of that money you have, you might not feel guilt-free about spending, but you can feel better about spending knowing that you're not spending your partner's money, you're spending your spending money, not somebody else's. And that can really also relieve a lot of stress. It causes less arguments. We really don't fight about what we buy. Well, first of all, we don't buy very much. But secondly, any big purchases we do actually discuss with each other, whether it's his money or my money. But realistically, what we buy out of our spending money is our money to spend. So the other person doesn't really have that much of a say unless they're big expenses. Big expenses should definitely be discussed. Not everyone keeps the same type of way that they pay their bills their entire life. Many people will switch to the completely combined income once they're married. Some people find out during their relationship that one of the persons spends too much and maybe they have to switch to another strategy so that they're not spending all of their money that's supposed to be going to savings. So it definitely doesn't mean just because you pick one way to do this that that's the way you have to do for life. Although I have said that a lot of people go to completely combined finances once they are married, this is not at this point what we plan to do. I mean, we don't own a car, we don't own a house, we don't have any big expenses, no children or anything. So at this point, it's very easy for us to keep our finances completely separate. I personally enjoy what I get on my own savings that I have created or what I've spent, and he really enjoys what he's done with his investment money and saving money. And to us, there's a bigger accomplishment individually for the money that we have earned and spent and whatever individually. However, that doesn't mean that one day when we have a house, a car, a kid or two, that we're not going to combine it just because it's going to be so much easier. So after this video, hopefully that has been a bit of an introduction for you, especially if you're thinking about moving in with someone or you're just getting married, about how to handle your finances. It's definitely a tough conversation. It's not something you can usually just figure out overnight, and it might have to be adjusted. Just like many people, when they start budgeting, it has to be adjusted because people work differently. This is not a one-size-fits-all strategy that works for everyone. So just take that into consideration and get those finances semi-combined. Just kidding. Do whichever way you want. If you find these videos interesting and informative and you want to learn more, Please click subscribe as I will be uploading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Have a good day. Bye.